that there are some classic Black movies that you never saw. And I saw it came up on my timeline and people are like, what?
Dragging me. I feel like for the most part, people say that I'm the same once they meet me. But I have had situations where people have said that they're scared to approach me. And I'm like, why? Like,
Same. Bree, it's so great to have you here. Thank you for joining Real Gems.
thank you so much for having me. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. You know, I was like, for season 2, who is someone who I know is going to keep it a buck? And I thought of you instantly for this.
Here I am.
And here you are. So for those who are not familiar with your background and what you do, can you let them know who is Bree? Who is Storymodebae?
Wow, who am I today? Well, first things first, I like to consider myself to be a variety content creator. I kind of do a little bit of everything. I love story-based games, which is where Storymodebae comes from. So story-based games for sure, indie games and AAA games and things like that, as long as it's not horror games. I can't do horror games. But outside of that, I love talking about music and pop culture, movies and culture in general. And I am a host as well, so I host a variety of different shows and content pieces too.
You're just a Jill of all trades, I guess they call it. You try, you know? But you say try, but you're doing it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So speaking of making that transition in content, I've seen that you made at least, you know, I guess you could say 2 content pivots, right? There's one that we'll touch on first, the reactionary content. What made you want to get into that? What made you want to make that sort of content pivot direction for your brand and for your business?
I don't know. Like, honestly, I think everything that I do with this brand and with this opportunity, I want to do as much as I can, but I also want to do things that I am truly 100% passionate about. And I love pop culture and I love movies and music, and honestly, like, we do so much on stream anyways. Like, back in the day, we had an entire watch party. We used to call it like Degrassi Thursdays, and we would literally watch episodes of Degrassi every Thursday on stream. And that was so much fun, and I am kicking myself that I didn't like store all of those VODs and like upload those at some point. But even now, like, we watch Court TV on stream, or like we'll watch old episodes of what is that show, 1,000 Ways to Die, and like all of this is stuff that we do anyway as a community. So it made sense to have a place where the reaction content is going, and I could store it there, but also like make new reaction content too. So for me, it only made sense.
So how did you find that balance between doing content that you want to do, but also having to keep in mind that you have to make it for social media?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know. Well, first, what do you mean as far as like make it for social media?
Well, you know, when it comes to being a content creator, it's like you want to create content that obviously you like, right? Because if it does well, you want to be happy with what you're doing. But no matter, we're in a day and age now where no matter what you do, you always have to think about, how does this fit with social media? How will this get a reaction? Whether it's with the YouTube channel or whether it's with your TikTok, like it's always something that's in the back of your mind. So like, how do you find that balance of like, this is content I like to do and I'm going to do it, but then but you also have the understanding of like, okay, I got to make sure this content, or at least moments that I take from it, have to apply to what works for social media.
I guess as far as finding the balance, I like to think of myself as a consumer first before a creator. So like, even with TikTok, for instance, I have such a bad habit of just like scrolling and scrolling, and like partially I'm researching, but like partially I just get lost in TikTok. But like TikTok, for example, I'll just scroll and I'll look at like kind of trending songs or trending type of videos and things like that, and then I'll think about how can I apply my own content to what's trending. So in a way, like, I'm still genuinely doing what I want to do, but it's also trying to have the algorithm find me too.
Yeah, the algorithm does definitely finds you because you pop up on my feed.
Oh, yay. Good.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I mean, hey, she's killing it.
There
so
she
it
is
works
again.
for her. And it's funny because one of the things that popped up for me was that you, I mean, you had a little bit of vulnerability when it came to this, but you also got called out on it. That there are some classic black movies that you never saw. And I saw it came up on my timeline and people were like, what?
Dragging me.
You gotta fill me in. Like, you know what Black Twitter is. Like, why did you decide to go into this?
You know, I wanted to find a way to properly celebrate Black History Month, but also like I was launching my reaction channel for the first time. So I'm like, you know, we might as well rip the Band-Aid off and let's start off reacting to some things I genuinely haven't seen the whole film, or I've only seen bits and pieces of it. Like, there are so many iconic Black movies, but like I've seen like 75-85% of them. So yeah, unfortunately the ones that I haven't seen are like cult classics, and I'm so sorry, but it's been really fun diving into, and it's been a good way to, like, I don't know, celebrate Black History Month.
Absolutely. So what were the Black classic movies that you've been diving into?
So we started off with Drumline. That was the beginning of my dragging, and it just went on from there. So we started off with Drumline, and then I watched Bones, which starred Snoop Dogg. And then we went to All About the Benjamins. Last week we did Boomerang with Eddie Murphy. And the video dropping tomorrow, I guess I can say it, is Blade. Which, you know, a lot of people, I don't know if we consider this to be a Black classic film, but to me, if you're the first Black superhero on film, doesn't that count?
No, it counts.
Right?
I also
Okay.
think no, it counts. I definitely consider that because that was like the first Black superhero that I saw really on like film. And
Right.
also on top of it, what a lot of people don't know is like at that time Marvel was struggling.
Exactly.
And so like
Yeah.
technically we could say that Blade started off what is now the MCU because of the
Exactly.
success of that franchise. So.
Exactly. People like to say that's Spider-Man, but no, it was actually Blade. Mhm.
It really was Blade. It's because people don't even know that it's a like back then people didn't know it was a Marvel thing unless you were like into that scene.
That's true. That's true. So yeah, I watched that for the first time, and I'm like, wow, this was a really good movie. So yeah.
Oh, well, I'm happy you finally checked it out.
Me too.
Especially because, like, what? I think there's a new one coming out.
Yeah, well, one day, hopefully.
Yeah. The film and TV industry is in a very weird spot right now. I'm hoping it comes up, but we'll see. We'll see.
Me
but
too.
For you, like, I actually had a conversation with someone the other day where I was like, we're at a point now where, you know, pop culture used to be very specific. It used to be like, this is pop culture. But now it's like almost everything is, and especially quote unquote nerd culture, and especially, you know, Black nerd culture is becoming so instrumental in the growth of different scenes. And so for you, like, as you've been building in the gaming space, you've been building in some of these other areas, like, what are you noticing about just entertainment industry from your perspective? Like, what are you noticing the change in this industry? Like, what is happening in entertainment?
Well, first things first, like, all of these industries are a mess. Like, the amount of layoffs and cancellations, and it's frustrating, not only like as a creator being in this space, but just like as a consumer, it's super frustrating to witness. A couple of, was it last month? I think we saw, I don't know if you've seen the show, it's called Rap Shit, and Issa Rae had her hand in it, and it got canceled last month. And it's just so frustrating because you see all of these shows being canceled, and it's like, you're not even giving it a proper chance. So it's frustrating because obviously I feel as though the demand is there, but when it comes to the higher ups, for whatever reason, they're not fully believing in the vision. So that's kind of frustrating to witness and scary as a creator, because it's like you can put a thing out there and you think it's great, but ultimately there's unfortunately going to be someone that could shut it down, which is frustrating.
Yeah, but yes. Do you feel like this is an opportunity, though? Do you feel like that means that content creators are going to be the leading force for media moving forward?
I could definitely see that. I mean, we have definitely seen how content creators have continued to jump into different spaces and avenues when it comes to sports or music or even acting. And you're seeing more content creators starting to go to movie premieres and sitting courtside and like all of these things, which is dope. Like I personally love the crossover, so I can definitely see, you know, content creators starting to rise to the top more and more.
Yeah, it's so fascinating because I literally just had a conversation with my friend Esteban, who's at MTV, and he was just talking about how like the industry is changing, but at the same time it's changing, but no one really knows what's going on.
That's true. Yeah, yeah.
So it's just been a fascinating time for a lot of people, and we talked about how it's just a hot mess at entertainment, and which means, you know, it's a little bit of a hot mess when it comes to the content creation world, the streaming world, a little bit, not even a little bit, a lot
of it.
A lot of it. So right now, do you feel like a career as a streamer is viable, or do you still feel like there needs to be more progress in that lane?
Are you asking me if streaming is a real job? Were you on Twitter this week?
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding.
Listen. I put a tweet out. I said, it ain't easy to be entertaining in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like streamer or host, it's not easy. So I'm all support for streamers.
Yeah, and like same, me too. But I think a lot of people see it as like us just pushing live and that's it. Like it definitely could be easy if you're just pushing live and that's it, but there's so much more that goes into it. But to answer your question, is streaming a viable career? It could be. And I mean, we've seen people definitely find success in streaming and streaming alone. I personally wouldn't put all of my eggs just in streaming, but I mean, to each his own. Everyone is different. For me, streaming has opened so many different doors and lanes that I never thought were possible for myself. And so that's, you know, why I will always appreciate streaming. But again, like everyone's path is different. And the interesting thing about streaming is there's no one way to do it. What works for one person won't work for another person. So it's also like it's almost like a small game of luck or chance, or like being in the right position at the right time, and you never really know what that is. You never know what clip is going to go viral. You never know who's going to be watching your stream at one designated time. So it could be a viable career, but it's like you never really know. So you want to prepare yourself the best you can.
Yeah, and I mean, shoot, that's entertainment. You know, you just got to keep pushing, and then when that one opportunity door opens, that's when you gotta capitalize it. And you mentioned earlier that there's so much that goes into being a streamer or taking the streamer path. What does it take to be a streamer? Like, what are the things that you have to consider or do or plan for when you are doing streams?
A lot. Oh, where do I start? Energy. Energy. You have to find some level of balance, which I still struggle with, work-life balance, because essentially I'm working from home. So I have a hard time like finding the balance and knowing when to stop looking at my phone, hop off social media, because everything is so intertwined together. Also, being a streamer, it comes with building a community. I am so fortunate to have the Bae Brigade, who are such amazing people. They're like my second family, always in the Discord, chatting and hanging out, even when I'm not streaming or creating content. But I mean, even the early days of building a community weren't easy. It's like trying to weed out people that maybe you don't necessarily want to be in the community and things like that. So trying to figure out community management in that way. What else? Organizing, keeping yourself organized and disciplined. And it's a lot of work. Also knowing when to take a step back too. And that part isn't always easy.
When you say work-life balance, what do you mean by work-life balance in the sense, like, is it 50-50? Is it not always 50-50?
It depends on the day. really depends on the day. Like for me, sometimes, so I have a planner and I'll like write in my planner every Sunday, and I'm like, okay, this is what my week looks like. But with streaming, which is another reason why I love doing it so much, it's like a love-hate. No one day is necessarily the same. So like stuff pops up, and then there's meetings and there's emails and opportunities, and your internet connection goes out for the day, and it's like all these unpredictable things that like change up. And then because I am so passionate about what I do, sometimes I have a hard time stepping away from the computer, because I'm like, no, let me just do one more thing. Let me just record one more thing. And so I have a hard time being like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. I think you need to go ahead and exit out. You're done. So yeah, it's trying to find that balance. And some days I have it, and some days I'm just running around like a chicken with my head cut off.
Well, while you're creating the content, what do you feel like has been the best platform for you? Like, what are you seeing has been a platform that has been very beneficial for the likes of you and other streamers that you know?
Well, I mean, I can only speak for myself, but honestly, it's like different platforms for different reasons. So like Twitch for a sense of community, because like that's kind of essentially how I started to form my community, was on Twitch, and I was really in love with like that live aspect and doing everything in the moment, and there's no time to like retake or like go to editing or anything like that, which I feel like also helps me with my hosting career as well. With YouTube, while things need to be edited and cut down, there's also like that content that is always there and able to build revenue after a certain amount of time. So like if I'm not streaming, like that's kind of it. But with YouTube, like it's always kind of building revenue, which is really nice. And with TikTok, for example, I started dual streaming. So when I stream on Twitch, I stream on TikTok at the same time. So I'm like also building my TikTok following as well. And that's cool because like our attention spans are like so short. Like I can only last for a 15-second video at this point. So like I'm able to find creative ways to post my content over there as well too. So I appreciate the different platforms for different reasons.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's fascinating because like for me, YouTube is pretty much my main platform that I'm focusing on. And then TikTok is kind of like whatever. But, and then honestly, I just stream on Twitch for fun. Like I'm just there just to chill, you know? And it's funny because I always tell people, cause I remember during the COVID times, well, 2020 COVID times, like I used to stream a lot. And then people were like, what happened to you, Erin? I was like, I can't do it.
Yeah.
Like even now I just stream for an hour and then my community knows I'm done.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Like I don't know how people stream for like 8-10 hours every single day. Like that is energy, and my energy only lasts up until maybe the 4-5 hour mark, and I'm like, okay guys, like I need to eat, like I can't sit here anymore, like I'm done. So yeah, shout out to them, because streaming isn't easy, and just going live and being on in a sense isn't always easy too.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Like, you know, it's crazy because even though it's weird because I can't stream for that long, but I've done like long production days, like 12 hours, 14 hours, like production days. And even with that, I'm so drained.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the misconception that people have about streaming, where it's like, oh, you just turn on camera and you just go. It's like, no, you're entertaining for the whole time. That's very it consumes your energy, and it just consumes you. And so because of how strenuous it is, I'm sure, you know, I feel like I'm confident in saying this, that like you're probably not gonna be a streamer your entire life. So you know, you said that streaming has opened up doors for you. So what are some of those doors that have opened, and like what are some doors that you're interested in getting into?
I think the biggest door for me has been hosting. I started hosting in 2020 and it just kind of took off from there. I was able to go to Tokyo for the Olympics and host a show through Twitch. I did work with Live Nation and GameStop and different companies. Currently, I'm working with UMG where we do a New Music Friday show every Friday. And highlighting new music and talking to artists and things like that. So I genuinely do enjoy hosting as well. I just overall, I don't know how long I'm going to be streaming. It's not until I'm 50. But overall, like I just want to find a way to continue to merge all of my passions and things that I love talking about and doing and make a career out of that. Whatever lane and avenue that is. I don't know if it's having my own show or I don't know.
I mean, listen, are you gonna be that? You're gonna be like that 80-year-old grandma on Twitch or something? Like,
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm clocking out. I'm done. I'm done.
She's like, no, 50's the cap.
Nope, I'm done.
So, from your hosting experience, like, what do you notice are like? What are some similarities between hosting and streaming, and what are some differences between hosting and streaming that you've noticed?
Similarities, just being confident in talking and being relatable and personable. Of course, with hosting, like you have to follow more of a script to a certain extent. There's more order and more structure. I will say, believe it or not, so like I was hosting and doing all the things, but like from 2020 up until the Olympics, everything was done like right here virtually. So when I went to Tokyo, that was my first time hosting in person, and it was such a large platform, and I was like, oh, this is different. And so I feel like for the early shows, I was so hard on myself because I'm like, oh, I've never really been in front of a camera crew, or like I've never hosted with like people watching me in the room. And so it was kind of tough, like getting used to that. But now like I love it and I don't mind. So yeah, I don't know. There's definitely similarities, but it's not easy either. I do love doing it though.
Yeah. No, it's just, for me, it's always fascinating because like that stuff, I love it. I eat it up.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, there's people in the room. Hey, like,
Yeah.
that's me. But then if you ask me, hey, go stream for 3 hours, I'm like, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I can.
Yeah, you can. But yeah,
I can.
it's about
But
wanting to.
it is. But I also think it's like, it goes back to what you were saying, where it's like, each platform is for different reasons, right? And, I think for me, I use Twitch as a way to show people that how they see me in hosting. Like, I'm not like that all the time,
Right.
They think that I'm always animated and like, yeah, but I'm like, nah, I'm actually like chill.
Yeah, same. Honestly, like I tell people that I'm actually naturally, I feel like I'm a shy person at heart, and they're like, what, you're shy? But yeah, I really am. I don't know. I love streaming and content creation because I feel like it allows me to be more comfortable with my extroverted side, which I have and which I like reserve for friends and family and things like that. But once this camera goes off, I'm comfortable. Turn these lights off, put these sweats back on. I'm cozy. I'm chilling. So yeah, I get it.
Wait, are you more of an introvert?
I don't know. I like to say is it
ambivert? Like
yeah,
in the middle?
I like to say I'm in the middle, but again, it depends on the day. But like if I have to work or do something, I know how to turn it on if I'm not feeling it. But it really depends. I think at heart, maybe I am more of an introvert. I like to be chill. I don't like to do too much.
Yeah, I've realized over time that I'm an introvert, but it's not that I can't be social. It's the way that I recharge. I have to be by myself. And I've noticed that. Like, I don't get recharged by being around people. I actually get recharged by being away from people.
Yeah, sometimes I'll be out in certain situations, and I can literally feel my social battery drain. And once it hits the bottom, I'm like, we gotta go.
Yep.
I have nothing else to give. Nothing's wrong, but like, I have to get out of here.
No, I'm the same way. It's time. I'm like, oh, and it's hard because, especially when we work in this industry where you have to be out and about, you have to go to events. I'm not gonna lie. There's sometimes my management tells me you need to go to this event, and I'm like,
I can't.
Do I?
I
Like, do I?
don't have it in me.
Do I need is this necessary?
Yeah.
Or is it optional?
Right.
But for those times when you know, because a lot of times that probably people are coming across you is via your content. So has there ever been a moment where someone has seen you in your content and then met you in person and they're like, you're kind of different, but not like in a bad way, but it's like, you're kind of different. Like, have you ever had that moment?
No, not necessarily. I feel like for the most part, people say that I'm the same once they meet me, but I have had situations where people have said that they're scared to approach me, and I'm like, why? Like,
Same.
do I have resting bitch face? Like, what did you see? I don't know. So that part is interesting to me, but for the most part, I've heard good things about myself, so I think that's good.
No, that's good. It's funny. I guess I have a RBF. Because
We
I've
all
had
do.
I've had people that were like, "Oh, Erin, when I first met you, I thought you didn't like me." I was like, "What?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Wait, what? I didn't say that." I was like, "I'm just chilling."
Where did that come from?
But apparently, my face is just like,
Yeah, I don't know. And like, again, nothing could be wrong. I might just be in my head. I might be thinking about what I'm gonna eat after this. I don't know.
facts. Honestly, that's probably mostly what I'm thinking anyway.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I gonna eat?
What's after this? What's next?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, speaking about like what's next, like for you, what is next? Like you talked about some of the doors you want to open. You're hoping that whatever the career or whatever the path that you have, you want to have a combination of all the things that you love and enjoy. But like, what is next for you? Like, are there any like passions that you're trying to try out, test out, things that you never done before you want to do or anything like that?
I feel like I'm on the right path and like starting to do all those things. So like the music show with UMG, love talking about music, so that makes sense. The reaction channel is like movies and TV shows, so that makes sense. And then I have streaming and my regular YouTube channel, so like that's gaming. So like I'm tying all those things, but I think the overall viewpoint for me, I just want to do something impactful. Whatever that is, I want to have impact on people that not only enjoy my content, but like impact for the culture, like years and years to come. I think about my legacy a lot, and it's like, how do I want people to talk about me? Oh, that's dark. How do I want people to talk about me when I'm not here anymore, you know? And I try to think about that a lot, and I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I do feel like I'm on the right path. I just don't know what that looks like yet.
How do you know if you're on the right path as a creator? Like, what are telltale signs, or like how do you know you're on the right path?
I think it's a lot of trial and error. Being a creator is understanding that the first idea that you pull out isn't necessarily going to be the best idea, and it's a lot of kind of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, which isn't easy because as people, we don't like failure, or we don't like doing something or posting something. It's like, oh, 2 likes, that's cool. I really edited all night, that's crazy. But yeah, it's a lot of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. And for me, I try to do things that not only people are drawn to, and you know, I try to look at feedback and get feedback from comments or like stream, and it's like, okay, they really like that, that's good. But overall, what do I feel good about creating? I think that's what's most important. I've done things you know, earlier on in my career, like partnered with certain brands and things like that, or played certain games that other people wanted me to do, but I didn't want to do. And I feel like for myself, it eats me up when I know I'm not doing something that I'm passionate about. So I'll be like, yeah, no, I can't do that anymore. I'm so sorry. So yeah, overall, things that your audience enjoys, but also things that you enjoy to do.
Do you always focus on doing the things that you want to do, or do you figure out how to balance, hey, there's some things that like I may not be loving to do, but it can help me moving forward? How do you find that balance?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely try to find it. I try to find pleasure in everything that I do, even if it's something that I don't necessarily want to do. I try to say like, okay, well, how can I what would make me feel better about this? And I try to take those steps moving forward. But yeah, everything isn't going to be sunshine and roses. I get that.
Oh yeah, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
For sure. It's funny because I've had some people who they see the stuff that I post on social and they're like, "Oh my god, what does an average day look like for you?" I'm like, at my desk in meetings.
Yeah.
Like not so fun stuff. It's not always fun.
That's true. That's true.
Well, listen, Bri, you dropped a lot of gems, but I always ask this of the guests at the end of every single episode. What is that one real gem that you want the people who are tuning in to take away? What is that one advice, one perspective, one thing that you think it's so important for the people who want to be in your position that they should know about?
It's corny and cliche, and I wish I had something better, but honestly, stay true to yourself. When I first started streaming, I think the thing that gravitated me towards it the most is the fact that I could build a brand off of authentically being myself. And I think it's so important to always have that foundation of it's okay to be yourself, because it also helps you stand out from the crowd too. Streaming and content creation is so saturated at this point. Everybody is doing it. So it's also like, what makes me unique and different so I can stand apart from everyone else? When everyone is playing the same game, everyone is doing the same trend, how can I be different from the rest? And the way you are different is by being who you are. So be who you are is the message of the day.
Absolutely. Stay true to being you. So for those who are tuning in, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me at Storymodebae everywhere on Twitter. I call it Twitter. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. And then the reaction channel is Story Mode Reacts on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I still call it Twitter. I'm not calling you whatever letter he wants to pick for the day.
I don't care.
You go and deal with it.
It's Twitter.
Well, Bri, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it, and we're so happy for you. Now you're not only dropping gems, but you are a gem yourself. So
thank you. You're a gem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cute.